He's right there,
So much
staring
pressure.
at us. Question number.
Can we camouflage it, like a puppet over it or something like that? So
What's with you and puppets?
Is there a puppet?
Yes, you tried to do it with Shelby, and you tried to do it with me last week. There's got to be a more deep issue to
I'm
this.
sure I watched a lot of puppet shows when I was little. You have to remember, I come from a different generation. It wasn't like Nickelodeon.
No,
it was like
but
there were a lot of puppet shows.
No.
There were a lot of puppet shows. I don't know if it's weird if that's what you grew up with. I think it's weird if you don't have any experience with it.
I had a lot of experience with puppet shows, but I don't think about them once. We gotta keep the camera rolling because of all your magic.
Well, let's clarify. Not all of my magic, of the possibility of loss of magic because the magic's fleeting. Let's
I
clarify
don't think
that.
that's what you meant.
No, that's what I meant. Especially when the camera's on. That's what I meant. No, but seriously, once the camera's on, we get into our groove and
Feisty.
could be feisty, could
Yeah.
be spicy like last time.
Yeah.
Where the bleep
Last
machine
time
I
was-
think broke. I think you broke the bleep machine.
Wasn't that funny?
It did good for a while, and then it kind of fell apart.
That was totally on purpose, just so you know.
Yeah.
It was so fun.
People picked up on that.
Yeah.
But I was worried that people might think that we got a little too spicy for them.
No.
And that we'd lost that love and feeling
Oh no.
and
We're protecting them.
Their beloved dog trainers and guides and
It wasn't about
honorable
just
servants
being
had
rude.
been cursing up a storm.
No.
Maybe
It was
I'm
about
sensitive. I'm worried about them going like, wow, these guys are some crass folks.
No.
But like you said, we were really concerned. Are you doing a little research here?
Yeah.
Questions?
There's a lot of defending our peeps rather
Yeah.
than just like, hey, got our feelings hurt. It's like, no, you can't act
We
like
both
that.
saw our therapist multiple times
Multiple
last
times
week
over
it,
this
worked through it,
person.
and I don't think you'll hear the BS or bleeping
Oh
going
no,
on.
it's out of our system.
Yeah, I think we've managed to move through it, so that's good news. Strangely enough, we didn't hear from the perpetrator.
Of course not.
Right? Okay.
I was so ready.
Hang on, see, I gotta be really careful now. Right?
No.
Just one wrong word, and we gotta get the therapist on the phone for a quick intervention.
No, I'm over it. Once you get it out, then it's done.
Yeah.
She's welcome back.
So she's welcome back, open arms. What we found is that not just us, but everybody else, and I'm glad I can do this because it doesn't hit the mic,
Oh, yeah.
they also
Enjoyed.
love the BS.
Yeah.
And I think we all are in agreement that this part where we get to talk with you guys and have a good time and connect is like, yes, the dog questions are essential and that's what it's based on.
Yeah.
But like this community and interaction and fun and like people actually tuning in and laughing on a Saturday or Sunday.
Yeah,
That's what
that's
this
the
is
part
all
of
about.
it. It's like
Yeah.
it's a variety show.
I chuckle
Yeah.
because I always have to watch like the first part of it to kind of like get the vibe of the stuff I'm going to write about when I post it up, and I'm always like slightly
Yeah.
it's pretty funny.
I watched the thing like 5 times, so by the end I'm like, oh, all right, I know that
You
part.
know
I
the
know that
greatest
part.
hits.
Yeah.
Right. Anyways, so guys, let's get this BS train on the road, okay?
Because I have a flight to catch, so
Laura's
we
got
gotta.
a flight to catch last few hours in NOLA.
Yep.
But you polished them off with a brownie sundae,
Yes.
red beans and rice, and your baby spinach salad
Yes.
with hot chicken,
Hot
as
chicken.
we've been informed.
Yes.
Which is a good way to send yourself off.
It really is.
Yeah,
Always.
so we'll miss you, but we're glad you came out. So
Yes.
guys, real quick, I'm just gonna cover some really quick, fast, up-to-date stuff.
Mm-hmm.
I'll get you up to date. So we did our NOLA workshop. The workshop was off the hook,
Mm-hmm.
super cool. We were deeply concerned just because it's our first one. We don't know all the details.
Mm-hmm.
Everybody who showed up was awesome, super helpful. Big Howard Jenkins, big shout out to Howard Jenkins.
Being our
because- Being our bait, but also like happy to carry chairs for
Oh,
us
yeah.
and help us out. I mean, Howard
He's like-
is a big dude.
He's a big guy.
He's
yeah.
a strapping
He
young
stopped
man.
us on the street and he's like, Sean O'Shea and Laura Morgan. I
I'm
was
like, "Here's my wallet."
It was me. Instantly.
Here's my money.
He's like, no,
And
I'm
do you
coming
need my
for
phone
this.
too?
It's Howard. I was like, oh.
Oh, yeah, Howard Jenkins. Dog trainer. Okay. So Howard was awesome, helped us out a ton. He was great because he's probably, what, 6'5", maybe?
Must
Something
be,
like
yeah,
that.
yeah.
And so he was great at like adding pressure to some of the dogs that were super reactive.
Yeah.
And we had several bite attempts.
Yeah.
Several like almost successful bites.
Yeah,
like,
your t-shirt got
actually my stomach, I found like there's some
little teeth marks.
There's some marks there, but I think everybody would have been impressed. No one caught it on video, the whole thing.
The ninja.
But there's some fast moves
Yeah.
from this old guy,
He's
right?
a ninja. He's a little ninja.
How many bite attempts? There was like 3, 4.
3, 4, yeah.
Yeah, 3, 4 bite attempts.
And he's like,
And luckily, there were sound effects flown in to make it actually look and sound even better.
I had a bite attempt.
Did you?
Two, yeah.
Did you? How'd you fare?
I have all my digits.
That's the girl. That's the girl.
So-
Was it on the walk?
Yeah, just right before the walk.
Yeah. So we covered all sorts of great stuff. Everybody got their dogs into better spaces, and we were able to like really help people move through with like some foundational stuff, but also some of the deeper understandings of the e-collar. A lot of people didn't realize that they could actually use it to correct and say no and stop behaviors.
Yeah.
And what we got to show people right in front of their eyes were biting dogs, resource guarding dogs, things like that, how to actually get them out of that zone, certain protocols, but also just simply saying no and watching the dogs soften up and move out of that space. And I think that was pretty powerful for owners. So that was fabulous. I don't think we could have had it go any better, except if we would have had chairs the first day, which we learned our lesson because everybody had sore butts. But the big news is that everybody wants to know about LA.
Oh yeah.
Chatsworth, e-collar seminar. Everybody's hitting me up, shaking us down. Do you want to announce it?
You announce it. We got to roll. I've got a plane to catch.
You got a plane to catch.
Yeah.
Okay, well, I'm just trying to give them the pertinent information. So, July 30th and 31st, Chatsworth, California, Los Angeles County. Right? 30th and 31st. What should they do to notify you if people are interested?
Email.
Link it up?
This email right here. It won't be linked like you can actually go click on it, but you'll see it and
okay.
That's where you want to send it.
So email there, email Laura, let us know. Spaces are going to go quick because this one has been asked for like nobody's business. So the LA workshop, I assume, is going to sell out pretty quick. So if you're interested, let us know. It's going to be a blast. It'll be at the new place in Chatsworth. So that's super awesome. We're going to do some giveaways. Prong collar DVD update you're going to share. We'd
Some
love
good
to get,
giveaways.
and you can remind everybody that we'd like to get everybody to submit videos for stuff.
I'll remind,
And with that, let's jump into the first question because you've got a plane to catch.
Yes. Da-da-da.
Hey everybody, it's Sean from The Good Dog. And to my right, like per our normal, no? This is back to
Old school.
No.
It's old school.
Is it old school?
Yeah.
I can't, this brain just can't remember. To my right, wherever she's sitting, is always the knowledgeable, wise, almost said lovable. She is lovable. And lovely Laura Morgan, who's flying out and got to catch a plane, so I've got to speed this up. And this is The Good Dog, well, all this good stuff. I'm losing all my mojo of the whole intro. All this is The Good Dog's Q&A Saturday, episode number 83. Yes, fancy nails, taking me back to the 80s.
Still.
Yes, yeah, all you need are some roller skates and you'd be rocking. So let's jump into this because I've got a plane to catch.
Okay. Question number 1 comes from Kayla.
Tough questions too.
Tough questions?
Sweating bullets already.
All right. I'm going to be timing, so they're going to be quick answers to tough questions. Kayla says, you come highly recommended from my dog trainer, and I'm excited for the chance to ask you some questions. I have a very animal-aggressive English Bull Terrier. She had professional training and e-collar work, but I fell off on her training recently because I started a business. My trainer recommended that I purchase your DVD to get me back on track, and I'm excited to get started. My question for you is it possible for a highly animal-aggressive dog and a cat to live together? I've been dating a guy with a cat for a while now, and I'm beginning to wonder whether or not it'd be possible for our animals to live together, or if one of them will have to be rehomed. Obviously, we both want to keep our pets, but I know my dog would kill his cat in a heartbeat given a chance. Do you have advice for this situation? I'm especially terrified because I recently tried introducing another dog into my home, and my dog attacked the other dog twice by busting through the door as I was closing it. Luckily, it was a big dog and he did not get injured, but one small slip up like that with the cat and no more cat. The other issue is she acts perfect when she's the e-collar on, but nuts when she's off. Will she always have to wear an e-collar to have good behavior, or can her overall behavior be improved so the e-collar is not just a Band-Aid?
Boom. Okay, quick. So, As far as the e-collar being on and your dog behaving nicely with it on, that's the typical thing of dogs becoming collar-wise. You've already said you've kind of fallen off the program. So quickly, the reason that's happening is because you've probably taken the collar off too early before all the patterning has been done sufficiently, given your dog commands, your dogs realize you don't have any control over him or her without the collar, and so now you've got a dog that's collar-wise making decisions differently when the collar's on, when the collar's off. That's kind of that. So you need to get back on that train, and you need to, anytime you have your dog out and you're supervising, working with your dog, anytime your dog is out of a crate, e-collar's on if you want to try and get your dog back into a better gear. Now, getting on to the cat and dog stuff, we unfortunately just were dealing with a situation here with one of our clients who has a situation with a high prey drive dog and their cat, and they got into it, and it became a pretty unfortunate, ugly scene. And the reality is, with high prey drive dogs, it's a very challenging situation to create coexistence and safety, and you might be able to create something that looks like it or feels like it temporarily, but like it can be a very tenuous, dangerous situation, and all you need is one like fast movement by the cat or a screech or a howl or something that you don't expect to go down, and all of a sudden it triggers the prey drive. So absolutely doing the hard work of training your dog will give you the most leverage, but beyond that, there's also a component of like aversive training, which is like rattlesnake training, which is teaching a dog cats are bad news bears, cats are hot, you don't want to go anywhere near them. That's a whole different kind of training, but that's definitely something that's on the table. Even with that, if your dog is that intense about going after other dogs and things like that, those bull terriers are really intense and really pretty stubborn and determined about their stuff. So it would be a very challenging situation no matter what. If you wanted to try and make that work, you would have to go like all in, balls to the walls, like really like I'm gonna kick ass with this, and that would mean like taking the gloves off, like with full kick-ass training, full compliance, non-negotiable commands, kicking your dog's butt with high-level corrections for any infractions, and then also doing aversive work, which if you're looking to do that, you'd have to like contact us, do a phone consult. We could try and walk you through that and tell you about,
refer you to someone,
or refer you to a professional that could help you with that if they know how to do that kind of stuff. So personally, my recommendation would be, well, like here are your three choices. You've got management, which is keep them separate. You've got rehoming one of the pets, or you've got doing aversive training along with your training that you're already doing. And with that, there are still no guarantees. And for me, if I've got a really high prey drive dog, I'd be very nervous about falling into a comfortable place where that's like we're going to be okay, and then all of a sudden something happens and you come home to like a dead or injured cat or something like that. So I don't know if there's anything you want to add.
Yeah, you just have to be super careful. I mean, the good news is you have fallen off the training train. So if you had emailed us or if you had said this, like, we've got everything's perfect, everything's nailed down, everything, like I've tried everything and I'm still getting this, that's a tougher situation. But you've kind of fallen off, self-admittedly. So you kind of shoring up everything and seeing what you can get. There's also major management stuff that can be done with that. You can have a household where you have a dog and cat separated, like that can work. It doesn't mean that a dog or cat needs to be rehomed. But
it is a heavy responsibility.
Totally. And
fraught with
tricky, and it's
danger,
all that stuff. Yeah, but it's been done, it's always a possibility. I think that you definitely, if you're e-collar trained and you get back on that train and you really work with that, and then you can try like a higher aversive for cat stuff
and dog stuff.
Yeah.
Anything where like all I can see is I've worked with a ton of bull terriers and any time that I would see this kind of like explosive, pushy, I'm gonna go get this dog, that dog would be getting the highest level correction of its life, so that dog learns not to do that stuff. And that's not like a 20 or a 30, that's like bombs are falling, and that dog goes, I don't want to ever do that again. So that's how they keep dogs safe around rattlesnakes and things like that. It's not the pretty popular training, but this is a component of saying like, there's one thing to say, like, we're going to do our e-collar training and make sure everything's like all shored up. There's another thing teaching a dog absolutely no, don't do that.
Yeah.
And so they're kind of two different worlds. They both can help, but just doing the regular foundational training on its own doesn't create any guarantees that your dog will be inhibited from trying to attack and kill your cat. So
yeah, and also, and like Sean said, that's definitely something that you want to ask a professional about doing.
Boy, would I would hate to see you go into trying to do this without having somebody holding your hand to make sure, because this is like trying to like do airplane repairs if you don't have like any experience. This is big
same
stuff.
As cars.
Right, big stuff.
Yeah.
So good luck. Let us know if you need any recommendations or anything like that.
Thanks.
Okay, and be careful.
Yes.
Does everybody know I'm sitting on a booster seat?
No, I don't think anyone knows that but me.
Do you know that I'm confident enough to put that out to the
mention
world
it?
that I'm sitting on a booster seat?
I'm sitting with like a little thing on my back because it was uncomfortable leaning forward.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Well, are you comfortable now?
Oh yeah, I feel like grandma with like a pillow on her back.
Right. We just need your shawl and we'll be all set. You can knit a little bit while we do this.
A cup of tea.
Are we like in focus with me this close?
Yeah, we'll be fine.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
It maybe blur out some of my wrinkles.
No, I was gonna say the opposite. For me, maybe it'll blur out some of my wrinkles.
I'll have to get behind that camera. Maybe I'm headed back here now. Okay, this is for Laura Morgan.
Question number 2 is for me.
Yeah.
This is from Cheryl. Cheryl says, I missed it yesterday. I just need some help. I just took in my brother's almost 2-year-old English Mastiff. He spent most of his time alone and most of his time crated. He's scared to death of every noise and movement. Like I accidentally bumped the garbage can while taking him out and he bolted in the opposite direction, almost taking my arm off.
Yeah.
He's like a ginormous puppy. We can't get but 20 feet out of the front door and he stops and runs back to the house. It's very hard for my lab shepherd mix. His nervousness is making her super anxious, making it hard to have them around each other. Any thoughts on this boy and how I can deal with his fear and anxiety? Okay, cool, Cheryl.
Let me jump in and say one thing before you do. No, just
Please do.
Real quick, what's the line that I use?
Just real quick.
Real quick. 20 minutes later. There's a lot of Mastiffs running around that have been bred for aesthetics that are very nervous, insecure. Doesn't necessarily mean that this came from being created or in the backyard or any of that stuff. There's a lot of these guys running around that are big, hulking, giant guys that have been bred to be big, hulking, giant guys, but their minds aren't perfectly
big
stable.
and hulking.
Exactly.
Yeah, I mean that's the same thing with shepherds. There's a lot of German shepherds out there that are super conflicted because their DNA tells them to guard, but who they are inside is just like more of a nervous Nelly.
Mush.
Yeah.
Yeah, because they've been bred for looks.
Yeah, looks
minds.
and like guarding, but they're not meant for it. They're not guard dogs per se.
They're like supermodels
So-
that haven't like
Exactly, they're like
worked on the mind.
right.
Sorry if there's any supermodels watching. I'm sure there's really smart ones too.
Yes, there are. So
It's not getting me into trouble.
no. So Cheryl, I would say that I think to the people that watch this a lot, the answer is going to be pretty obvious. A full program with this dog, at the very least, like prong collar work. I don't know what tools you're using. I don't know what anything you're doing, but prong collar. Someone mentioned getting him on a place command. Definitely place command. All our free videos, bing, up there, or our DVD. Bing,
Is it up there or ding down here?
It's up there now.
Okay, it's up there now.
Yeah,
Okay.
it'll be up there.
Okay.
So our DVD and our free videos are ways for you to be able to teach your dog at home, place command, thresholds, healing on the walk, and just like all of that fear stuff. Like the last thing we want to do is let a big guy listen to his fear, because right now it's running back to the house, but not as a scare tactic, but in the future it could be biting someone or getting weird with someone or growling or whatever it is.
Trampling them on the way back in the house.
Trampling as they run. Yeah, so there's that thing that, these are just symptoms of what's going on upstairs, him running back, him pulling you over because of the garbage can sound or whatever. He's just a big nervous Nelly. So you have to take care of him just like you would any other dog. And to us, that means a full foundation. If you want to get fancy, and what we would recommend over anything would be an e-collar program.
Yeah.
E-collar is the coolest way for dogs who are nervous, because what it does is it teaches them that they can actually complete the commands without any like physical pressure from a human. So it's a very neutral sensation, and you're also you don't have to like
Manhandle.
you don't have to correct with a prong, or you don't have to like pull or drag or anything. You're just using the pressure on the e-collar, and these guys can work really low. Like we have a 140-pound Borbal, or what is he, Mastiff?
He's a Borbal, which is a Mastiff.
But he's a big guy, and he's nervous too. He like scared on the walk, scared of things, nervous about stuff. And
bags
he looks,
rolling around on the ground.
He looks like a beast, but he's definitely nervous. But the e-collar for him is the best thing, because we're saying you don't have to listen to your fear, you don't have to listen to your nervousness, just listen to me, So a full e-collar program.
I wish life was that easy.
I know. We can make it so easy for dogs.
Yeah.
But sit, down, place, heeling on leash, walking nice on leash, a lot of duration, a lot of just telling him what to do.
Yeah.
Then you get a much more confident guy, and a guy who, with that impending, is that the right word? Impending look?
No.
That's impending doom. What is he? Looks like he's got a
negative intent?
No, he's got a presence that's very
intimidating or ominous, or
it's like intimidating, like that. Okay. That presence that
I'll take ominous for 200.
The presence that may be good for what people might want with like a big dog like that.
Yeah.
That's the guy, a more confident guy. Then you'll get like an obedient, confident guy who also has this. I can't think of the word.
It's okay. We'll get there.
So that's what we would suggest.
Link up the word.
That's what we would suggest. So a full e-collar program, or at least a prong collar program, and really just remembering that babying that guy in that state will only make him 10 times worse every time you do it.
Yeah, and if you check out our e-collar recall video, that could give you really good insight into how that looks.
Yeah.
And all I could think about, we were talking about this question before we rolled, was that if this dog's stuck inside, put him on a long line and start using e-collar pressure, and you have to watch the video very carefully how it works, but using e-collar pressure to get him to come towards you without having to manhandle him out could be a big game changer for this dog. And then once again, keep expectations appropriate, that he might be just genetically more of a nervous Nelly.
Yeah.
And so don't hold him to a standard of being a perfect dog.
Right.
Get him as great as you can get him. He might be able to like totally blossom, but be aware that there might be a ceiling, some limitations.
Definitely. Okay, good luck.
Cool.
Thanks.
Nice work, lady. Here, come sit down. You want this higher up?
Thank you, Derry.
Okay.
Question number 3. This comes from
It's a tough one.
Casey Naklik.
What? How does Casey get in every week? I feel like Casey gets in every week.
She's good questions.
Yeah.
Casey says, hello, my favorite people.
Hello,
Yet
Casey.
another question from me. Trigger has been on the remote collar for about a week now, and he's doing very well. We're having a bit of confusion. I'm hoping you can clear it up for me. I'm using the collar to keep him out of the horse paddock for safety reasons, and because he's unfortunately discovered horse poop, adding stim as soon as he crossed the fence line. He clearly gets it when I'm outside the paddock, but when I go inside the fence and he tries to follow, I tell him no and press the button.
Yeah.
He seems confused and seems to want to default to coming to me, since we've also been working on recall. Okay.
Yep.
My temporary solution is to put him in place when I go in there, but I feel like it doesn't solve the ultimate issue of me wanting to keep him out of the paddock altogether.
Yeah.
Any thoughts on how to go about this? Thanks as always, you two are the best. Aw, Casey.
Thanks, Casey. Now, the only thing I have to add, just straight out of the gate, is like, if you continue to ask really difficult questions like this, you'll probably show up less and less on this show. 'Cause this one's really like a lot of work.
It's a little bit, yeah.
It's a lot of work. Okay, no, I'm teasing. It's good for me to have to like use the old note a little bit. So I wrote some notes. Okay, so it's super common for dogs that, especially early on in training, like you're a week in, so I would be really cautious about how much you ask of your dog at this point.
Yeah.
Like e-collar training moves so quick and looks so good oftentimes that it can cause us to move too quickly into like thinking we can ask for compliance or higher level things, and I'd be super careful about that. It's very natural for dogs, like say we've got a dog on place and the dog's like moving through the process, even pretty far in the process, and the dog is whining or something, and we tap the button and say no. A lot of dogs will recall off of place and come to you just because they've been patterned so much to do recall when they feel pressure that they'll default to that. So I think that's what's going on with your dog. So the confusion sounds pretty logical.
Yeah.
A couple of fixes. So I wrote some notes for you so I can kind of jump into this. So one of the things you can do is you can back tie him, if you can figure out a way to back tie him instead of placing him to where he can get right up to the line that you want him to. but can't cross it. And that can help avoid this whole recalling to you. Right. Whereas you can walk in, like you could have him on a 25-foot long line, but have it measured to where it's just right, to where it gets just to that boundary. You guys walk in, and as soon as he starts to cross it, following you wherever he's at, if he's a few feet behind you, right next to you, you say no and correct. And the cool thing is he can't come to you once you cross that line. He's stuck right at that spot. Mm-hmm. Now, so that would be something that I would practice over and over again to create some clarity. But once again, I would probably, it's hard, I'm trying to put myself in your shoes and think about kind of how this would look. I'd probably go slow on moving into this part of the process. I would be working more on just like foundational stuff. Like you're working on a specific problem with the paddock. I don't know why I'm scratching like that, but you're working on a specific problem with the paddock, and I'd rather you wait on the problem solving aspects of it to a little further down the line in your program. Mm-hmm. So I'd rather you work on sit, down, place, recall, heel, and get those rock solid to where your dog has a really, really good handle mentally on all these different behaviors and what they mean, and then start adding the problem solving aspects to it. I think that'll be more helpful for you and your dog. But once you get to that point, what I just suggested with the back tie and the long line, it's a good approach. Now, a couple other things that you can do. You can walk him up with a leash, like on a 6-foot leash, and you can kind of mimic the same thing, which is basically you walk him up. If I'm doing like boundary training with the dog, like here's the line I don't want you to cross, I'll walk up, and then as I step over the line, I'll correct the dog and I'll say no, whatever your word's gonna be, no, or like pizza or whatever it is. And I wish we would have that pizza today. Sorry, he's in a pizza kitchen. Oh
gosh, it's good.
The pain. I'd say no, and then I'd guide him back with the leash, and then I'd immediately walk out, and then I'd do it again, and I'd walk up. And the whole concept is to try and create a distinction in your dog's mind that, for one, he shouldn't recall with you, and for two, when you say no, or you could say wait, you could come up with some different things, get creative with it, that he learns to be able to break apart from you and mind this boundary. Mm-hmm. And I would actually like go up and down the line of this boundary to create more of like in his mind, more of a real distinct line rather than just like one spot. Mm-hmm. I don't know what your situation looks like. I don't know how wide the space is that you're trying to create a boundary with, but I would literally, like, say it's 20 feet, I would like walk him up like on one side, walk up, he gets, I step over it, correct with a no, and then guide him back out, and then I'd move a few feet down, I'd do the same thing, and I go do,
right.
And I would just basically try and create that impression for your dog that there's a boundary here, and the boundary goes all the way across. Mom can move across it, but you have to stay here. Mm-hmm. So that's something else that I would teach once you've got more of the foundation stuff going on. Trying to think if I've got any other notes for you. Back tie, leash to fence line, keep it loose. Yeah, basically, one thing I want to add, as you're doing this, if you're doing this boundary training and you're walking him up to whatever your boundary is, don't have him in a tight heel to where it's a mixed message that he should be walking through with you. Keep the leash like loose, have him on like kind of a loose leash, like let's go kind of thing, or just on a release thing, and have him moving with you so he doesn't feel this conflict of I should be traveling with mom in a heel, and then she corrects me when I step over. That's a pretty unfair conversation. Mm-hmm. So just that distinction alone might help him feel different about it. And then what you want to really make sure is he doesn't get to recall to you, and so back tying can really help that. So you could basically do both of these things, right? Do the physical thing with the 6-foot leash, walk up with it nice and loose, correct up and down the line, boom, dog gets it. And then once you've got that rocking, of course that's after your foundation work that you've done for the next couple of weeks, mm-hmm. Then you tie him to a long line to where he can get right up to it, and then you walk and you continue to walk, correct him for trying to pass the boundary, and he goes, wow, I can't travel to mom. Right. And then he gets a lot of clarity. And I think if you do all those things and put them all together, I think you should get a pretty good situation. But if a dog's done a lot of recall practice, it's going to be super natural.
Especially in the first week of a young dog.
Yeah.
I think that's probably like the biggest thing right now. If we're talking about, oh, my dog's been e-collar trained for 2 years and he's, 4, but you've got a dog who's like, this is brand new concepts. You know, it's like having someone write like an essay just right after they've learned how to write.
Yeah.
So I would say
it's asking a bit much.
Yeah, it's asking a lot, and it's no big deal. You haven't done anything to like undo anything, but just remember that like maybe we ease off of this one right now and go to like a back tie just so you have a more kind of specific thing. But in a few months after he's like totally conditioned with foundation, then it's different.
Yeah, there should always be an arc, and for us when we're problem solving, there's always an arc of like get the dog super solid, then you can start asking more and more and more, and you've got more clarity and more understanding of the collar in different contexts. So that's what we recommend. Give us some feedback. Let us know how it goes.
We love you, Casey.
We'd love to see some video of your dog like hanging right.
I want to see the paddock.
Okay.
Yeah. Show us that.
Send 2 pictures. Morgan.
Okay, question number 4, it comes from Amy Griswold. Amy says, I have a question about a dog I'm fostering for a rescue. She was returned to the rescue twice from families who had adopted her. The first time because of general bratty, destructive behavior in the house and stalking, knocking down a child.
The old stalking and knocking.
And this latest time was because she bit or nipped a child in the face and left a mark. The guy who had her said she waited until the child gets really close and then will strike. I think she's gotten worked up with some horseplay prior. When the dog has been with me, I've had 0 issues with this highly structured environment. She doesn't have the freedom to roam around and cause chaos.
Yeah.
I think she's a safe dog with adults and have told the rescue not to allow anyone with kids to adopt her. But I don't have experience with biting dogs, so I want to know if biting little kids is a behavior that will expand to adults. And you guys create any kind of distinction in biting dogs as to the severity of attacks. Thanks so much for your help. Okay, Amy, it's a tough one.
Yeah, it's a tough week, right?
Yeah, what's up with you guys?
Sweating.
So I think like the quick answer to the question, like if a dog bites kids, does it mean it's like a human aggressive adult biting dog? And maybe this answer will surprise you, but I would say, yeah. I mean, if the dog's willing to bite a human, the dog's willing to bite a human. Now, the caveat to that is that kids, you like that?
I like caveat.
The kids, they move different, they sound different. They might, like you said, horseplay. There might be some rough stuff like going on before, and then the kid's getting close.
Stressing
there might
out
be
the dog.
Taunting, stressing, kids that aren't being managed, so the dog's more likely to bite. Now, I would say any dog can bite. So yes, if the dog is stressed enough and caught and being pushed to the limit to bite, it will. And so it has, which means that if a adult was doing the same thing to the dog may have nerves that cause it to bite in a situation like that. Now, my dog, Hercules, probably wouldn't do that. Belle probably wouldn't do that. There's certain dogs that it doesn't matter how much you push them, they're not
Cujo
going
would definitely do it.
Cujo would never do that.
That's why his name Cujo.
But
all of his face bites.
So many face bites. So you have, that's kind of that. So I would say that your structured environment is showing you really your answer, which means that your dog, the reason why your dog bit the kid and bit, whatever, pushed them down, stalked a kid before around the house or whatever.
I don't like that word very much.
No, that dog is clearly nervous, unsure, not sure what to do with himself. It doesn't make it okay, but there's a lot of that. So your structure is causing him to feel more safe and causing you to...
Less stressed.
Yeah, it's for him to be like, okay, I don't need to deal with stuff like that because I'm not on my own anymore. So I guess your question was like, does it transfer
to adults?
Yes, if the adults are acting like maybe the kids were acting. You could have that same dog could bite if someone came up to you guys on a walk and was like, oh, look at the pretty puppy, and put their hand right in their face right away.
Face or something
kissy
like
face
that.
Or hugging the dog or something like stressful. That could definitely happen.
Yeah.
Now, the delineation of like...
I like delineation.
You're loving these words. The thing of like, does the dog, like, are there different categories in terms of biting? I don't know. Like I mean, there's. Let me jump in.
Yeah. There's nipping. There's warning bites. There's bite
a dog
and
that's
holds.
attacking
There's attacking,
humans
ripping flesh.
versus just
you can
reacting.
go on Google and you can look at. They actually have charts of like bite degrees and how they categorize.
But I think like in terms of maybe what she's looking for is what would be the best like foster home. Like what should you say to a foster home? I mean, the best thing you can say is that like this dog isn't attacking people willy-nilly, like just anyone that gets close it's attacking, but in a structured environment, the dog's doing great, like yours.
Yeah.
In an environment where there's kids or even like adults that are acting like
Foolish.
not great with dogs, and I'm not blaming the kid's a kid, but blaming maybe that environment for that dog.
Yeah.
That's how you say it, you know. In a structured environment, this dog does well. Too high stress, too high XYZ, kids that are unhinged, adults that just want to love them to death, that dog could possibly be a biter.
Nicely said. Yeah, I think you kind of answered your question in a really simple way, in that the dog doesn't behave like that at your house.
Right.
So when the dog's needs are met, which are getting rid of stress and anxiety from looseness, lack of structure, lack of leadership, all the stuff we always pontificate about, the dog does well. Left to its own devices in a stress, hyper, maybe frenzied, maybe looser environment, you're going to see stress levels rise, which means bite chances go boom through the roof.
Right.
So that's why structure is such a valuable thing for these nervous dogs. Sounds like a nervous dog. I'd be highly, highly careful about who I recommended this dog go to.
Very.
Your name is on this dog. Any rules that I would give, just real quickly to finish this out, would be like, what did I put down here? I mean, it's like, you know, no pressure, no hugging, no kissy face, no furniture, no
everyone.
bed stuff. All of those things make nervous dogs way more nervous. More latitude, more freedom, more motion and movement makes them way more nervous and way more likely to bite. You know this because you're already doing it. So I would just say, like, look for a duplicate of your environment as much as possible.
Yeah. Cool.
Nice work, lady.
Thanks.
Yep. Good delineation.
Okay, question number 5. This is it before I have my plane to catch.
I got a plane to catch. Are you gonna have my Laura's candies for
Oh, I wish.
snack?
This is all right. We've got question number 5. Rockabilly Lynn from Instagram says, I have a question, as always, LOL. With fearful, reactive, or aggressive dogs, how can you tell if you're asking too much of them or if they're just blowing you off? For example, you correct them at a second of concern, stare, or look, they don't respond, so you correct higher, and they react to both the dog and the higher correction. I guess what I'm asking is, how do you know if you're correcting too strong or not fairly, or if you aren't? I don't know if this makes sense.
It does make sense. So we were just working with clients yesterday with this very same situation.
Yep.
And I think the answer to, like, how do we know it's fair? That's a really tough one. Like, the way I know it's fair is when I've taught a dog what the tools mean, what the commands mean, and what's okay and what's not okay, and tried to do that in kind of a low pressure, low, what's the word I'm looking for? Low impact kind of environment, and then asking the dog to give me his best stuff or her best stuff. So you've got a dog, it sounds like you've got reactivity stuff, and the same thing we were working with clients yesterday with the reactivity was that the dog was escalating, lifting up, and it looks like the correction's causing the dog to get worse and worse, right? So we've got something we talk about all the time, which is capping versus chasing. And what these owners were doing, and what we see with most owners that are dealing with reactivity, is that it's always the too low, too slow, which means that the reactive dog, you get to them, they're already starting to become aroused, they're already loading, and then the collar correction comes a little too late, and it comes at too low a level, and most likely the space between you and the problem trigger dog is too close, and so that means you're screwed. So the way to be not screwed is to see another dog as you're working through this process. Give yourself enough space to help you and this dog be successful, so you can mitigate some of that stress level stuff. And then when the moment that it goes from this to this, or wrinkled forehead, or the second you see it change, the split second you see it change, no correction. And you want that level to be high enough, you want to catch it so super early, and you want that level to be high enough that it caps the state of mind and brings it back down. You should see the dog go from this to this, right?
State
and if
change.
you don't, if you see this, so at that point, I don't know if I'm doing a good impersonation of that dog, But what you're doing now, like you just said, is lifting. You're actually like those e-collar corrections are bam, 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 like annoying and frustrating rather than bringing the dog down. And so that was a big thing we were working on yesterday with those clients was, you know, you were giving them some good instruction on like levels to start at with the first little thing, which was much higher than what they were used to in order to set a tone, capture the dog's mind when he's still at a very low level and create some motivation to make some better choices with a little bit of a clearer mind.
Totally,
And so if your question is it fair? It sounds like it's less a question about what's fair and it's more a question about, am I doing this right? And it's not creating the reaction or the reality that you're looking for. And so then you're questioning, is it fair, because it's making the dog worse. And this is a very typical outcome when a dog is reactive and gets emotionally, mentally, state of mind wise ahead of the handler, and then you get all of this stuff. So you're correcting and you're doing all your stuff, but the dog's getting worse, and so you feel worse. You feel like I'm making the dog worse. But if you go back to those three things that I said, which are more space, earlier correction, higher level correction, and then of course, like Laura would like add, I'm sure, into this would be like immaculate heel and structure and like an overall game plan, not just on the walk, but everywhere to leverage state of mind, goodness in a more comprehensive kind of fashion.
Yeah, if they can't listen to you like inside the house, just breaking place. Like my favorite thing, not favorite thing, but a lot of like, it's a great thing to hear from owners because I know we have a good amount of way to go, but they'll say like, well, he's really good at place, but he's not so good at stay.
Yeah.
And it's like any dog can sit on a mat for 5 minutes, but then wander off. But the dog who actually sits on the mat and wants to wander off, but stays on the mat, that's the dog who, when you're out in the big bad world, looks at you as like, I actually listen to that person. So just by that, you get a dog who's minding his P's and Q's a little bit more. So then you're not fighting all this like, how dare you try to tell me what to do, and I want to go after that dog.
I think that's a hard one for most people to get. That connection.
Totally.
Yeah.
So I always try to say to clients, like, when the dog, like in an example of this, when your dog blows off place, walks to the water bowl when you haven't released him, that equals reacting to a dog exploding on the walk. Do you know what I mean?
How come?
What I just said is basically just that if your dog doesn't listen to you in here, why would he listen to you out there? So you have a different guy, and then you try to correct him, and you try to get him in a spot, and you have to go higher, and then you're pushing him up. So just kind of getting everything sorted out all in the mix, and then going to a higher level sooner, as soon as you see that stuff, as opposed to waiting.
Right. And so the clients we worked with yesterday with heavy reactivity stuff was exactly that situation. We had a bunch of commands inside the house. Dog was fully e-collar trained, but didn't have any reliability. They hadn't worked through and created buy-in. As far as like, when I say you're on place, you don't budge. When I say heel, you stay in heel. When I say this or a down, it was all like the dog knows the command, but the dog can pop out, which creates a state of mind of, honestly, I can do whatever I want to do. And so when that dog sees another dog, you can bet that dog, if he's feeling reactive, is not going to feel respectful, or that you've created any leverage about like authority and what's appropriate and what's not appropriate. And so you're going to get lift off. So the one of the concepts I want to close the show out with is, and I know you've got some giveaways, but is this leverage concept. It's so valuable, guys. You've got to leverage every single moment you get. Don't just try and hit it on the walks. You've got to get it at the thresholds, on place. Anytime you see a dog push against it, anywhere where a dog is like, no, I want to do my own thing, you have to push against that and get a great reaction in order to create more leverage and stack that up to where when things are really bad, your dog's like, I've been so patterned to listen that I'm just in a different gear. So I'd really like you to think about leverage, comprehensive training, and then everything else we just shared.
Okay. Good luck.
Yeah.
Thanks.
Keep us posted. Let us know how that goes. Grandma's giveaways.
Quickly. Grandma's giveaways. Okay. So I have a few updates. First update is from Colleen, who actually won a prong collar DVD from us a few weeks back. She's the Dobie Rescue. She's the biggest Dobie Rescue, I think, in the country or something.
Really?
She's the one up north in California, and she won. She sent me an update. She said, I was finally able to watch the DVD and start working on things this week. I cannot thank you enough for creating this program. I saw results the first day and couldn't believe the simplicity of it all. Training programs can be so complicated, but your fundamentals are easy to follow, and the dogs responded really well to the simplicity of it too. I didn't see the confusion that I have in the past with basic obedience classes. I worked on heel, sit, thresholds in place with 3 dogs and saw immediate changes in state of mind. One dog in particular has made me a die-hard believer in just the 3 days that we have been working. He's a 5-year-old Doberman who has bitten everyone he's ever lived with and everyone they knew. He's shown dog aggressive, reactivity, destruction, the whole 9. Plus his last owner beat him so badly that he drops in fear when my hand is raised. He's with me for life because we can't risk another bite, so I had to find a way to live with him. In one day, he was healing like a pro, did duration sit work, thresholds, and crate. The anxiety left and he rested like a baby. His insecurity fades away when he's working. It gives him confidence while also teaching him respect. Haven't been bit yet. Anyway, I'm convinced, and having seen your fundamentals help make my house way more calm, you have a follower for life. They're even helping Adobe I have who suffers from massive OCD. I can't wait to share with all the adopters and volunteers so they can experience the excitement I've had this week seeing these results. I write an article for our quarterly newsletter. She wanted to see if she could put some of our videos in there.
Yes.
I hope we get a chance to meet one day, Colleen.
Wow.
So
That's
super exciting. That's like a
damn cool.
really, really cool thing for us. Colleen, it doesn't work unless you do. So
Yeah.
it's really, really
She's
great.
with the rescue, right?
Yep. Yeah.
So another rescue adopting some of our techniques.
And they
with
had
DVDs.
cool, they had total open mind to tools and stuff. They're like, whatever works, like let's do it. And they've just been badasses. So I can't wait to see more from them. So good on you
and
guys.
that's the trick to getting dogs that are unadoptable or dogs that are stuck in rescue
Yeah.
or in the shelter, getting them out.
Right.
And that like warms my heart
Totally.
like nobody's business.
Totally,
So
totally.
thanks for sharing that. That means a ton. I love that you talked about the simplicity because
Yeah.
it's such a big part of what we try to convey in the DVD and in our program in general. And I'm so happy to hear that it came across that way. So that means a lot too.
Yeah, it's huge. So awesome. We cannot wait to hear more, and we can't wait to meet you. This second update is from Mary Kay. She actually purchased the DVD. She had purchased the prong, or she'd purchased the e-collar DVD. Then she contacted me and was like, do I need prong foundation? I was like, yeah, check out our free videos or our DVD. She was like, I'm buying the DVD because I want to do this right. Then here, a week later, she said, hi, Laura and Sean. Okay, so I have this for you to check out today. It's our 2 Dobermans at the same time.
Adobe's.
Max, the black one that you'll see in the video I'm about to show, is after yesterday's training only, and Secret, the brown guy, has the choke collar on, like a choke chain, what they were using before.
Yeah.
So she said they both acted like Secret, which is the one I'll show first, but now she's waiting for another Hermspringer to come to her house, then she's gonna start with the other one. The black Dobie that you'll see, he's just a couple days into training, no, 1 day into training. My husband and I are in complete amazement. Thank you, big exclamation point. So Mary Kay, that's so awesome. Again, like I knew as soon as you emailed me and you said like,
She's so enthusiastic.
yeah, she's like, I'm doing this, I gotta do it right. I was like, oh, she's gonna be great. And it really, like, we really do say a lot, like it doesn't work unless you do. There are billions of people that have those tools and that information that don't necessarily put it into play. So if you're out there,
top secret anymore.
yeah, it's out there, you can do it for free, or you can buy a DVD, or you can get a trainer, whatever it is. So really, props to you and your husband. Look, you guys look so good, and you got your kid in there working. It's really cool. Okay, so here's a thing from Melissa. Melissa says, I was watching episode 82 and Laura mentioned that you guys donate your DVDs to rescue groups. I would love to be considered as a potential recipient. I love the work you guys do, and I know I need to learn more in order to help my foster dogs. Basically, she and her 2 teenagers, she's a married mom with 2 teenagers, rescued dogs since 2012. We've had 154 foster dogs in our home for the past year.
Wow.
We've had up to 22 dogs in our home at one time. We don't have a big house or
How
yard.
many did she say?
22.
I thought you said 2,200. I was
No, we currently have 10. Most of them have needed training, and we spent countless hours doing the work in order to get these dogs
Good for you.
forever homes.
Good for you.
We had to slow down because we currently have a few dogs that need more work as usual.
Yeah.
As an animal advocate and working in rescue, I see the need for quality trainers. I often share articles and videos on my personal Facebook page and my rescue page. My adopters contact asking me for help. Thank you so much for all that you share on social media. Please let me know if you have any questions for me, and thank you so much for your time and consideration. Just looking for a possible prong color DVD, and Melissa, you got it. You definitely got it.
Look at that.
We're all about you and everything. That's just the coolest thing. Such a great update, and 154 dogs that you've homed.
Jeez.
That's crazy.
Amazing. Big props.
Yeah.
Big props.
Really exciting. So hopefully the DVD does you well. And
Yeah, hopefully that means like there's going to be like 450 dogs
Exactly.
getting out of there.
we would love to see any before and after footage or anything that comes up. We'd love to see it. So let us know and send me your address if you could. That'd be great.
So congrats on that DVD. But
Yes.
keep us posted on how it's going, and we'd love to hear how it works for you.
Definitely. Final giveaway.
Yes.
Hey guys, I'm Joanna, and I had the question on Q&A today. This was last week.
Yeah.
I'm a vet clinic I'm a vet assistant at a vet clinic. I also do some side basic obedience training and pet sitting to feed myself.
Yeah.
I live and breathe dogs and love my jobs. You mentioned in your video that you thought this dog was my world. You hit the nail on the head. Do you remember the dog? Yeah. So anyway, she tells the story about just how her dog, she went through a really rough time, and her dog went through it with her and basically like pulled her out of that time. So there's a lot of emotional connection to the dog. Basically, the dog's 3.5 now, and she's just trying to get over the hump. And if you guys watched the question from last week, she's talking about that she's got all this stuff that she just needs to sew up with an e-collar. She's been saving for an e-collar. And last week we offered Spencer, a fan of ours, offered a collar up, and we decided that between Spencer and Sean and me, we decided that Joanna was the perfect candidate. She sent this nice long email, basically that her dog was her whole world, but she knows now that it's all about training him and getting him to a good space, and she feels like the e-collar.
relationship's kind of out of balance, yeah.
Yep, the e-collar would be for helping with fence fighting, would be for reiterating all the obedience commands, make door entries a happy, calm place, use it for herding whenever he gets crazy, and use it to reinforce what he already knows.
Yeah.
And also, importantly, I would use my experience with it to help educate others, because we unfortunately live in a world where everything is happy and fun, and there's no consequences for our dog's actions. I've never used an e-collar, but would love to learn. Thanks for listening to my story. I don't think I'd be alive today if it weren't for this dog.
Wow.
He has my heart. So we got some pictures of there, and I just think it's so cool. I think it's definitely she's got a great story. So
Yeah.
Joanna, you got it. We got your address. I'm gonna pass it along to our buddy Spencer, and
It's
exciting.
pretty damn cool.
It's
Thanks. Spencer, thanks for the generosity.
Yeah.
That's super cool of you, buddy.
So nice.
It really means a lot. And being able to help her, Joanna, is it Joanna or Johanna?
I think it's Johanna.
Johanna.
Yeah.
Is just such a generous act.
Yeah.
And Johanna, I know the dog's got your heart. Now let's make sure this dog gets your mind and your best heart stuff.
Yes.
Not just the soft stuff. Let's
Yes.
bring like all the good stuff so you guys can sew this up and get this dog in a good space.
Yeah. All
Cool.
right.
I think you've got a plane to
I
catch.
do. I'm stressed about it.
I know.
So
Let's get you out of here. Guys, thank you for joining us.
Yes.
I'm glad you loved the last episode. I think we managed to stay BS free for the most part.
Totally BS free.
Thank you so much for the NOLA visit.
Yes, it was wonderful.
And for the awesome workshop.
Yep.
And just the awesomeness company. Let's get you out of here so you can catch your plane.
Yes.
And we will see you guys really
Next
soon.
week. Thank you.
Bye.